Welcome back to our hour-long live close-up, and we want to bring in a familiar face now to give some perspective over many primaries, someone who's hosted this program a time or two, I would say. I don't know if I've even caught up to you yet. I'm probably not yet.
No, I think you probably have.
We'll see.
You're doing great.
Anyway, Scott Spradling is here. Secretary of State Scanlon projecting a turnout of 322,000 on the Republican side, 88,000 on the Democratic side. They tend to be right on in that office more often than not. But at the same time, this final week is kind of collapsing. And we see that, Trump had that big win in Iowa. And his polling numbers have been pretty high here.
You bet.
Could be cruising to another double-digit victory. Do you think that could reshape how turnout comes out on Tuesday?
It could. What we're seeing within the polls is an enthusiasm gap. Right now, it seems like the Trump voter, Trump supporter, is the most enthusiastic. A Marist poll showed somewhere around 77% contentedness. That drops down to 55% for Nikki Haley. So while there are a lot of potential votes for her, a lot of those are not necessarily purely Republican votes. It's the independent voter, which is a big number, a big window. But there's an enthusiasm gap, which could lead to the slight thinning of the estimate of numbers. But in Dave Scanlon, I trust. Those are pretty strong estimates.
Yeah, and those undeclareds obviously can go one way or another. One thing we shouldn't forget to touch on is that there is a lot of strength for Donald Trump right now. Obviously, within the Republican base, he is holding on to that key demographic there.
He is. The polls are continuing to show that he's at around right above 50% for Republican likely voters. He definitely has him in a headlock, if you will. And Nikki Haley, her strategy at the moment for New Hampshire is to try to close this up as much as possible, using those independent votes, of which there are many, Adam, 110,000 that cast ballots back in 2016.
And New Hampshire's undeclared voters tend to be a bit more moderate, a bit more centrist. They like Governor Sununu. They like Senator Shaheen. Both parties, though, seem to be gravitating away from that middle. And we see this very odd dynamic now where a candidate who can appeal to those undeclareds is suddenly viewed as suspect by the base.
Yeah, and it's all run through the prism of the Democratic primary, and the Democratic election is behind Joe Biden, and the Republicans seem to be behind Donald Trump. The one thing we've seen, and we've seen it in New Hampshire when Trump's name isn't on the ballot, but his supporters are. Trump name, Trump brand runs beautifully strong through the GOP primaries, but for the general, it ends up being a different story. So we'll see, because I think we're landing maybe somewhere in between in the primary because it's an open primary.
I talked to a lot of people who've been around this process a long time. Obviously, this last week has been different. And in effect, we have two presidents on the ballot, even though Joe Biden's not on the ballot.
But you're right.
And that's what's kind of shaping this. But, how different is this from years past?
So first of all, let me say, due credit to Nikki Haley and to Dean Phillips on both sides as being really hard-working New Hampshire primary candidates. It's been great. It is different. The bottom line is this is very different. You've got Ron DeSantis, who isn't even in New Hampshire right now, 48 hours before the polls open. That's disappointing. The investment of time and energy has not been the same as what we've seen, and the field has been shrinking before we even get to New Hampshire. That's a different dynamic. But I will say this, I absolutely believe, Adam, that this too shall pass. 4 years from now is going to feel a lot more like the traditional New Hampshire presidential primary, because the cast of characters is inevitably going to be different.
Yeah, the candidates very often dictate what happens here. And, don't rule out the fact that Trump might be running again in 2028. So we could see that too.
Absolutely possible. You never know.
Last question here for you. And, obviously one of the biggest headlines, the biggest different things that happened was no debate this last time around. Trump decided not to participate. Then Nikki Haley decided not to participate either. What do you think this portends for the future of the primary?
I think it's unfortunate, but I also think that candidates will come to their senses and recognize the value of being able to do debates like this, especially in New Hampshire, where you have so many New Hampshire voting eyes on that moment. And within that moment, they can help make up a final decision. As we know, New Hampshire voters decide at the last second. These debates play an enormously valuable local role. I don't believe they're going anywhere. I'm disappointed that we weren't able to have one here this cycle.
All right, Scott Spradling, don't leave the studio. We're going to you're pretty much going to be here for the next 72 hours. So we thank you for your expertise and insight.
Thanks, Adam.